a car. What does that even mean?
Well, get yourself a car. What do you do with
I
your
feel like
mortgage?
that was shade.
What do you do with your mortgage
I don't
fee?
get
Do not
paid
go to
enough
the-
to do that.
Well,
If
you
I
do
was
the
getting
agent.
paid
Okay,
enough
I'll
to
open
do
an
that,
agency will represent you.
There you
I
go.
would, sure.
So anyway, pull up at 1Ds. We end up having more of a discussion than an interview. In between, O&M had made me an offer. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to O&M rather than going to, which is now Ogilvy.
Ogilvy,
To Herdboys. I'm
yeah.
like, this is the business. Because every other week I was in the newspapers writing an article or other complaining about racism in the Cape and all manner of sorts. And so anyway, come up to Herdboys and meet the finest minds you could ever find, a diverse company, black people in leadership positions, women doing amazing things, all sorts where race wasn't a determining factor for one's progression. Needless to say, I accepted the job offer on the spot. And we have an amazing couple of years. Gaibe even comes along to join his big brother up in there.
That is my brother.
Yeah.
I know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we have an absolutely amazing run. And then I go start my own business. Worst time to start a business, 1999. So anyway, we fail forward. And
What business was that?
this was 28 degrees south.
Okay.
And we were really ahead of the times in terms of where we wanted to take marketing, to say we need more thinking, analytics,
Right.
and strategy driving rather than
Right.
just pretty pictures. And it's a business I would actually happily have started inside of Herdboys, but we couldn't start it inside of Herdboys, so
Yeah.
I went and took my crew and off I went.
Okay.
Fast forward, and I guess the point I'm making about all of this is that some of us may have left Herdboys, but the thing that we went to be a part of and which was ignited and given a platform at Herdboys still very much lives to this day.
Yeah.
If you see me every other week, I'm either with PV, Happy, Zar, or that entire crew that
Yeah.
we were at Herdboys. Because businesses evolve and circumstances change. And the spirit in which I led the Jupiter drawing room when we set new records in the industry which have never been set was in the spirit of saying, as a herd boy, I'm doing it in that mode.
In that position.
Yeah. So the company might be no more as herd boys, but the movement, because that's what those timers started, is a movement. And a thing that says that we're going to back black brilliant capability and we're going to put our money behind it, and we're not going to try and put them in the back rooms and to smile to show that we're transformed. We're going to show that we're transformed by them leading pitches, driving stuff. They'll do the numbers. They'll do the... So there wasn't this thing of we're glorified people with titles
Yeah.
to show statistics that there's black people in the business. We were in the core and at the heart of what that business did, and to this day, in whatever business we're in, we still roll the same way.
And what a brilliant business it was. That's why I was saying I took umbrage, but
Yeah.
now that you've answered that question that way, I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
If I hadn't been at Herdboys, I wouldn't have been the chairman of a, I can say it now because it's so far back,
Yeah.
close on 400 million rand revenue business in 2006 and 7.
Yeah, not like that.
Huge number.
Yeah.
I mean, adjust for
Sheesh.
the time value of money
Yeah.
on that now, and
Yeah.
you're talking a
That's-
juggernaut of a
that is
business.
a
Yeah.
juggernaut of a business. That really is a juggernaut.
You're gonna have to school me off air after this. Tell me what in the world Her Boys is, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
I'll tell you
And
all
you
about
thought I
it.
was just a pretty face.
I think nothing of the sort.
So one of my favorite stories in Happy's book. It's such a strange thing. He's like a timer, but I've always called him Happy.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's a groot.
Yeah.
Getting to be a timer.
Yeah.
Because I'm a groot.
You are. So he tells a story about how they landed the MTN business right at the genesis of Herd Boys, and they had no office. They had a fax machine. I think it was Brady Maps's fax machine, and MTN were like, oh, let's meet. So let us come to your office, and they were like, no, don't worry, we'll come. Yeah, we'll come to
Customer service.
Oh, I know that feeling very well.
And it's brilliant. In the book, he says, yeah, now it would be acceptable, like, to not have an office because everybody's working from home. But at the time, it was completely unheard of. And they were landing this massive account.
No, Herdboys was absolutely it should have grown to being the largest ad agency in South Africa.
Yes.
But the dynamics that at play in South Africa, which is one of the things that I think we have to be grateful for in this country, is that there's no racial dynamic getting in our way. There's no, skin ceilings. But what we have to deal with, which comes to, I guess, where we're going to finish off in the end, is what needs to change for Lesotho to go from having potential to realizing the potential and not just being, for decades now, the land of promise. We have to realize the promise at some point and stop moving backwards.
I have a friend, her name is Steph Jerry. Shout out to Steph. She's a redhead, pretty redhead. And she says to me, she's really looking forward to coming to, when we have a wedding, when my wife and I have a wedding, she's really looking forward to coming to that. And she says to me, maybe 5 years ago, she says, how is it possible that a place with zero ethnic cleavage, a place with a linear language, is not utopia? And for the life of me, I was not able to answer this question.
I think it's because, and I don't pretend to have the answer, because God knows if I had it, I long would have published it so that something is done with it. I think there's a significant part of the explanatory variable is this notion of huemela muso, rather than just getting on with it. Because if you were to think of the number of people who get educated and trained in various disciplines, be they handcrafts, academic and otherwise, who are waiting for a role significantly we already have perhaps oversized government and as a result employment bill versus what goes into actual services. It's not going to happen that the labor absorption in this country is going to happen through government. It's not going to happen through the Vodacoms. We can only be part of the journey, the Standard Banks and others, and the Econets. It has to be a wider set of activity being driven by people, more like the German economy, which doesn't have very many huge, large companies. It has a number of kick-ass small to medium enterprises that innovate the hell out of everything. Germany's, Europe's strongest economy. Yeah. By far. And consistently so. Through the dips, through the whatever, Germany's also.
They just keep going.
Yes. And they have scale.
Yeah.
And they have big brands, your VWs, BMW,
Mercedes, Daimler, yeah.
You name it. So there's that, but they're not, the structure of the economy isn't like that. And they're a living example of this continuous learning process where people are constantly relearning. So it's not an event where you go to school, you come out, and then cheers, goodbye, see you another time. And I think in Lesotho we have to get to the point of saying we have to look at how we beneficiate all the resources that the country has. Chief among them, the people. I went to Afriski the other day with my family, and my kids got to see real snow for the first time. And they absolutely love being here. We go to Mohale Dam. I pretended it was my dam, but they knew it wasn't mine.
Yeah.
But anyway. And they love this. And I'm like, okay, our tourism potential
is massive.
Is undertouched.
Jeez.
And it's one of the, but we, as Basotho, we have to, whether here or elsewhere in the world, we have to be ambassadors for what's good about this country and be the people who support and enable it. I saw some ladies about harvesting some herbs, and one of the things that I said we have to do is we have to move up that value chain to like that doctor lady who has had, together with a whole bunch of other people, had such a huge impact. Somebody brought it to her to say, "Meh, we think this can help," and being a scientist, she does her thing. We should be making those breakthroughs. Yeah. But we should also then say, okay, let's follow those ladies and help them commercialize that. Let's do some crowdfunding, raise some money, and say, okay, boom, start to finish throughout the year, we're now going to cultivate these products, and then educate us. Let's get the foothold. Yeah. Take the leaves and what have you. But we have to look after that asset. It's not just the diamonds, because not all of us can do diamond mining, and certainly it's so capital intensive. But there's so many other things that are possible
that we could be doing.
That I think, as a country and as a people, we should be looking into, because there's not going to be 1,000 corporations here where we all work. And it might sound easy to say, it's easy for you to say. I say this, haven't been an entrepreneur myself, so it's not just something that I'm saying because it's something nice to say because we can't employ everybody at Vodacom.
Yeah. Bella, do you
What
have
would
anything?
you say is the exact role that Vodacom plays in, facilitating that entrepreneurship journey, or just making it easier or more? Because a lot of people now are merchants through Vodacom Pesa, right? So that should mean that is there some kind of structure that helps capacitate them, or?
There is, and without giving too much away to our competitors who, like all of us, are out here listening and wanting to understand what's happening in the marketplace, that's one of the areas that excites me about how we're going to accelerate that, because as you say, it's already there. If you think about who sells our airtime, who are the agents, who are the merchants, give us out.
Yeah.
But what we now have to do is get to the point of saying, there's now an app for everything. There's an app for apps.
There's an app for
I mean,
apps.
literally.
So
You said there's
we
an
have
app
to
for
get to
apps.
say that if there's going to be the software engineering that happens and sits behind that, we have to develop those engineers. We have to be the people who come up with the ideas to say that here's a space that's to do with wellness. This needs thinking, engineering. It needs an app. It needs a value chain. It needs a channel to market. We have to be the people who do that. And the beauty of being where I am now is I get to be party to making the decisions around how we more actively capacitate those people beyond the incubation and other labs that we've done to say, how do we scale this thing up? Because it would be, I can think of nothing better come my time being up at Vodacom than to leave a greater deal more of what we do being done by Basotho in country and being exported to other parts of the world. And we disturb this thing where most of the things that are eaten, worn, paint, anything you look at is mostly made outside of. What does that mean? You're exporting the country's wealth. We should be more in a position where there's more being exported from Lesotho and less being imported. And you import only the key things that you need. This doesn't mean clumsily closing Lesotho off to the inputs that it needs to develop its industries and for people to develop their talents or to apply them until such time that we're the ones making the phones, doing the engineering and moving up the value chain, just like China did while we were watching them.
It's 5 minutes after 5 here on the Big Time on Sky Alpha HD. When we come back from the break, we will have more conversation, more in-depth conversation with the MD of Vodacom Lesotho, Mohale Ralebitso. Bella is asking all the difficult questions. I'm just keen to get to know the man a little bit better. But that's how it goes. The Mekwani finally joined us. Shout out to the Mekwani. What's good,
What
baby?
do you do?
Yeah.
You know what his look is giving me right now?
Tell me.
It's giving Kim.
It's giving Kim.
Met Gala
Met
Kim.
Gala
That's
Kim.
what it is.
All